What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about why I'm unsure about buying The Last of Us Part 1. Now, this is my preview series where I take a look at an upcoming game and talk about just that, whether I am getting it, not getting it, or somewhere in between. That's where I lie with this game. I will explain why as the video goes on, and this really gives me, the one last chance, or one final time, I should probably say, to discuss, the controversy and just everything surrounding this game before it comes out. I guess pending future controversies, pending other things happening over the next 2 or so weeks. This is it, right? The game releases on September 2nd. We're getting very, very close, and, some people are getting excited, some people don't care, and that is totally fine either way. So one thing to make note of that I have seen people talk about before is a very simple line. That is, if you enjoy the game or you're looking forward to this game, you get it. If you're not looking forward to it, you don't get it. It is really as simple as that, right? That if you're into it, you're into it. If you're not, you're not. But, also respecting, I guess, others where they stand is important as well, and that's where this video lies, because I really am unsure. Now, since the last time we've talked about this game, there's obviously been more, kind of promotional material, more stuff showing the enhancements made and just how much better things are now versus the past. Ultimately, to me, it comes down to the price. I really think once the dust has settled, and it kind of has, it's definitely settled more than it was, say, a couple months ago when this thing was first announced. But once it completely settles, or even now that it's starting to, I think what's really coming down a lot of people's mind is simply the price. I don't think there's anybody arguing that there are improvements that are made in this version. I don't think there's anybody arguing that this is the best version of The Last of Us. Now, you have seen people, and I think there's actually something to this. You've seen people where it's like, they've done tests dirty, like in the new model and stuff. There's things that go around Twitter. I think, and I've said this before, I think there's something timeless about the performances. Obviously are the same, but I think there's something timeless to the visual style of the original game, right? At least in my opinion. I know the facial features aren't there with the characters, and they definitely are there now, and you can get a different sense of emotion. To me, to some of these scenes, it flat out changes the scene, because you are seeing it different. There's just something, and yet again, there's something impactful about seeing it for the very first time. If this is the first time you've seen it, you have nothing to compare it to. But for those that played it originally, like I played it day one, and I think a lot of other people play it day one, when you do that, that's kind of like etched in your memory forever. Does that make sense? Again, there's no doubting that they've improved, that the game looks better. I'm sure it'll function better. The DualSense features, the audio features, the accessibility. This is the best version. I would say, again, you could maybe argue there is something timeless about the original, and maybe it's not the best version. Maybe the original version, in its kind of like pristine state of when it came out, like that is the best. But I would say, that would be a hard argue. I would overwhelmingly say everybody's kind of on board that this is the best version of the game to play it. The issue has always, will always, at least to me, my issue with it has always been resource management. I don't think this was ever needed. I don't think you ever needed to make this game. I'm not saying you don't need to make games. I think you could have put the studio that made this game to work on something else. It's literally, to me, it's always been as simple as that. In fact, to me, that was the crux of my argument. It wasn't even the price, at least initially. It wasn't the price. It was, I just think that The Last of Us is a game that's not all that old. It's 9 years old. I think you could have remade Uncharted 1 and it would have made more sense. I think I would have preferred a brand new IP, put the resources towards something else. You don't need to remake this game. It's already good. And then the final part to it, right? The enhancements you make, are they worth the new price and the new kind of product that you're putting out to people? And the answer, again, for me, is not necessarily, well, it could be a hard no right now. This is almost like, ACG's like buy, wait, rent, wait for sale, his thing. It's almost like that. These kind of previews are almost like that, but before the game comes out, in terms of just me kind of ranting and talking. I really feel like where I'd lie on this game is like for a hard sale, I think maybe I would get the game. You know what I mean? Like, now, of course, like, you could say, well, there's like moral arguments of like, well, Alex, if you're against it, like, you should always be against it. You can never get the game, even if it's on sale. Again, like, if that's your line of thinking, I'm gonna respect you so long as you respect me. That's kind of my golden rule. I feel like that's where I stand with a game like this, though. I think the thing that hangs a lot of people up, and I guess it really was the last part of my argument about like resource management, is it worth it? Is it worth making a game like this that, yes, it is improving it, but how much? Well, what is the jump? And it's subjective. It's to everybody. Like, is the jump gigantic to you? It may be very small to somebody else. And then you get to the age-old argument, and this is, I feel very passionate about this in terms of, like, the money, the spending. One of the things I always talk about in these preview videos, or even when I do reviews, is it's your worth. How much is your money worth to you? To some, $70 is nothing. To some, $70 is a lot. To some, you could buy 20 games a year. To some, you buy 2 games a year. Those things are different to each person. So that really goes back, I guess, to the beginning of, you know, if you're going to get it, don't let people guilt trip you into not. If you're not going to get it, don't let people bully you into getting it. And ultimately, that comes down to money as well. It gets a little gray when you mix everything else in, right? But generally, the idea is, if you think $70 is worth it, then you spend it. If you think $30 is worth it and you don't think this game is a $70 game, then it's not. It's not to you. That's more than valid. And that's how much you'll spend. If you want to wait for it to be 50, well, you're not going to buy it at 70. You're going to buy it at 50. Now, again, it gets more gray when you add in the elements of, well, did it need to happen? The game's already been out twice. I mean, look, by the way, I know people always bring up like Skyrim, GTA. I hate those. I hate the fact that those games are out like 50 times. So for those that bring it up, it's almost like an own to me. And not that many people do it, but it's not because I don't support a game like Skyrim releasing like 9 times. It's a meme. It's literally it's a joke at this point. It's not even like a real factual thing that happened. I mean, it is. I mean, it does actually happen, but it's played off almost as a joke more than it is an actual product at this point. And that's, again, I mean, this is a smaller extent. This is only the 3rd time, but it's still 3 times. It is a remake that's a little bit different than what we've seen for past games, but, you know, the first game, the original, is not all that old. It's not all that needing of a remake. The remaster is very good. It improves quite a bit. It combines quite a bit. Like, that was the best version of the game to play up until 2 weeks from now. And maybe you could still argue it once 2 weeks passes, right? So you have the 3rd time. Do you need to spend $70? Is it fair for Sony or Naughty Dog to charge $70 for this game? I think where I stand, I mean, I've kind of explained where I've stood, but where I would stand finally is, I really think this game would have done a lot better and have had more goodwill if there was some sort of like upgrade program to get it. Sony has been weird. Weird maybe is putting it kind of lightly in how the upgrade program has been, right? Well, first they didn't say anything, then they kind of promised things. Then remember with Horizon, they hope people forgot about the upgrade program with Horizon Forbidden West, and then when people blew up about it online, Sony fixed it. So Sony has been, let's just say it for what, not great, kind of scummy with you know, kind of trying to pull one over on people when it comes to these upgrades. I'm not expecting an upgrade for this because, again, it's set in stone. It's $70. But again, that combines with, is the money worth it? Did this game need a remake? You combine all these different thoughts, and then the final thought is, you know, could you have done, and I don't know if you could have, but could you have tried to do something where if you had the remaster, if you had the original game, is there a path to, you know, playing this game for less? Could you have offered it for 20 or 30? Again, now, I'm not saying there wasn't hard work done. I'm not saying these people didn't deserve to be paid. I'm sure they were paid well. These are big studios. This is a big IP. I'm sure it was expensive to remake this game. Again, though, was that smart? Was that smart to use your resources to remake this game? If you maybe put less resources in or didn't do it at all, you would be fine. But could you get away with charging $20 if you had a previous version? If you had the original, could you have worked it, or would that not have been enough? Would you have not made enough money to warrant the team to make it. That's kind of a Sony problem. It's not really an us problem, right? So ultimately, I stand by everything I just said. I really don't know. I guess, again, it would kind of be almost like a wait for sale for me. I don't imagine myself getting it day one. I kind of think I'll get it within maybe a few months after that. It's been a while since I played the original. Like, I'd want to, but I really don't feel comfortable. And again, that's all it really is. I don't feel comfortable spending $70. If it was $30, maybe even $40, I'd think about it a whole lot more. $70, that's just, or even $60. I mean, both of those really prices it out for me. And I buy a lot of games. It's not like I can't afford it. I can afford it. I just really don't want to. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. If you want to follow or support me anywhere else, all my social media is in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next one.